¿Ya te cansaste? If you grew up hearing that and now someone at work is telling you to prioritize rest, then this episode is for you. A ver, vecino, let's sit down for this one and make sure to grab your cafecito. Welcome to episode 8 of the Entre, Mundos podcast. This is a space for bicultural Latinos navigating life between cultures. Y aquí hablamos de cultura, identidad, mental health, family expectations, and what it means to honor your roots without losing yourselves. For those of you who are new here, I'm John Eli, your bicultural vecino who understands cultura y psychology. I work as a trauma-informed counselor and as a nervous system educator. But more than that, I'm someone who has lived in this in-between space my whole life. This podcast is my way of putting language to what a lot of us carry, but don't always know how to say. Now, before we get any deeper into today's conversation, I want to offer a quick reminder. This podcast is not therapy and not a replacement for therapy. This is a space for reflection and conversation. Mejor think of it as a plática con tu vecino favorito. All right, ahora sí, let's talk. A ver, I want to start with something honest. I've worked in professional spaces where people talk about work-life balance, where HR sends emails about mental health days, where someone in a meeting says, make sure you're taking time to rest. And every time that I hear that, there's a part of me that nods, because intellectually, I know that they're right. But there is another part of me, a quieter part, that thinks, that sounds nice, but for someone else. Because from where I come from, rest wasn't a priority. Rest was what happened when the work was done. And the work was never done. Mira, déjame contarte. I grew up in the Hatch Valley in New Mexico. It's a small farming community. It's in the southern part of the state. We're known for our chili peppers. Hasta eso, we're known for being the chili capital of the world. Anyhow, in mi caso, we had a farm. We had animals to feed, fields to tend, and my dad had this voice that filled whatever room he was in before he even finished the sentence. It was booming, direct, and he was set hard on one thing above everything else: work ethic. Trabajo. I was about 5 years old when he handed me a small asadón, a hoe, and he took me out to the field with him. Remember, 5 years old. And he showed me how to hold it, how to work the ground, and how to keep it. And that was the beginning. That was the day that I started learning what it meant to earn your place. Every morning, and I mean every morning, my dad's voice found us before the sun had even done much. Levántense. There was no sleeping in. There was no easing into the day. You got up. You took care of the animals. You got moving. And I want to say this clearly. My dad wasn't cruel. He was raising us in the way that he understood raising children to look like. You work hard. You don't complain. You show up. That was love, the way he knew how to give it. But here's where it got complicated for me. I love to read. Even as a kid, I could disappear into a book. And my dad didn't understand that. If he walked by and saw me sitting with a book, the look on his face said everything before his mouth did. Y eso con que se come. Or he just finds something for me to do because sitting still, even with a book, was not productive. And para él, if it wasn't productive, it wasn't valuable. And I know I'm not the only one who experienced this. There's a lot of us who grew up watching our parents move like stopping wasn't an option. Moms who are always in the kitchen, cooking, cleaning, making something para vender. And dads who are always in the middle of some project, such as like fixing the car, building something, laying cement, all on a Saturday morning. Y afuera de nuestros hogares, you got to remember that I'm from the Hatch Valley. So I grew up watching men and women, immigrant workers, doing some of the hardest physical labor you will ever see. Long hours, bent backs, hands that told stories. And I want to be clear, this isn't just a stereotype. This is something that I watch with my very own eyes. You see, Latino work ethic is real. And it was born out of necessity. It was born out of survival, out of love for the people depending on you. But here's what I want you to understand. And this is the part that nobody really talks about. When you grow up in an environment like that, where everyone around you is always working, where stillness is treated like a problem, your body learns something. Your body starts to associate moving with safety, productivity with belonging, work with home. So when you're working, even when you're exhausted, something in your body feels right, familiar, settled. Like you know exactly who you are and what you're supposed to be doing. But the moment that you stop, something shifts. Not dramatically, just quietly. A low hum of discomfort, a pull towards the to do list, and a voice in the back of your mind that sounds a lot like someone that you grew up with. Durmiendo no se gana dinero. Así no vas a llegar a ningún lado. No seas flojo. And so you just get up, not because you're rested, but because rest started to feel like a problem. Let me ask you something. When you're on vacation, actually on vacation, how long does it take before you start thinking about what you should be doing back home? For a lot of us, it's not long because how we experience childhood doesn't stay in childhood. It follows us. And I'll be honest with you, even now, as someone who has done a lot of inner work on himself, I still feel it. I come home after a long week, and instead of sitting down, I find something to clean, something to organize, something to do. And there's part of me that knows that I'm tired, but there's another part that doesn't quite trust the stillness. Like, if I stop moving, something will catch up to me. Or like, I haven't earned the right to stop yet. And that's the thing about patterns that form when we're young. They don't just disappear because we they don't just disappear because we gain understanding of them. They live in the body long after the fields are gone. And there's the guilt. You know the guilt that I'm talking about. You sit down on a Sunday afternoon, nothing urgent, nothing on fire, and instead of feeling peace, you feel like you're doing something wrong. And there's that voice again. Qué bueno que tú puedes descansar. Ojalá que yo tuviera ese lujo. You can almost hear it, even whenever nobody else is in the room, because those voices don't need to be physically present anymore. At some point, they moved in. They took up residence in your cabeza without paying any kind of deposit. Then we step into American spaces, corporate jobs, professional environments, wellness culture. And for the first time, someone hands us a different message. Y te comienzan a hablar palabras desconocidas. Work-life balance. Take your PTO. Protect your peace. Rest is productive. You can't pour from an empty cup. And I remember the first time that I heard that word, that work-life balance. I had a couple of jobs at the time, and I was working to make ends meet the way that I had always worked, because that's what you did. And the concept sounded nice, it genuinely did, but there was something underneath the niceness that just felt off. Like it was designed for someone whose starting point was completely different than mine. Like it assumed you had a space to fill when some of us were still just trying to survive. That mild suspicion, I don't think I'm the only one who has felt it. Because that's what happens to a lot of us. We grow up in a culture that says work is survival, work is love, work is how you prove your worth. And then we step into spaces that say rest is essential, burnout is a crisis, you have to take care of yourself first. And we're standing between those two worlds, not knowing which voice to trust. Because the Latino voice feels familiar. It's the voice of every person who worked themselves to the bone so that we could be here. It feels like loyalty, like respect, like not forgetting where we come from. But the wellness voice isn't entirely wrong either. The research is real. Chronic stress is real. What overwork does to the body over decades is real. So now we're caught. Honoring one voice feels like betraying the other. And neither one was built with our specific experience in mind. I'll be honest with you about something. I don't use all my PTO every year. And when I do take time off, I spend part of it thinking about work, assessing the impact, wondering what's piling up, feeling the pullback. And it's not because I'm irresponsible. It's not because I don't understand the value of rest. It's because somewhere in my body, stopping doesn't feel entirely safe. And I say that as someone who has done a lot of work on himself, on someone who understands this stuff professionally. This isn't something you just think your way out of. This lives inside of your bodies, and bodies take time. And here's the part that gets me though. When I hear the American wellness conversation, the you deserve a slow morning, and that part that says like the rest is a form of resistance, the protect your peace content that's out there. Part of me feels something unexpected. I feel bad for 5-year-old John Eli standing in the field in the hot New Mexico summer holding an asadón that was too big for his hands. And I'll tell you something, that as much as I value the work ethic that my father gave me, as much as I carry that with pride within me, I cannot imagine putting a 5-year-old to work in the field. Part of me honors what that built, and part of me wants to go back and tell that little boy that he was allowed just to be a kid. Those two things are both true at the same time. And I think that's where a lot of us live, holding gratitude and grief in the same hands, honoring what our people gave us and quietly mourning what it costed us. Now, I want to say something important, because I don't want you to walk away from this episode thinking that I'm asking you to reject the work ethic that you were raised with. I'm not. That work ethic, it's real. It's powerful. It kept families alive. My dad's hands built something from very little, and I carry that with me, and I'm proud of where I come from. But there's a difference between carrying your roots with you and letting them run your body long after the circumstances that created them are gone. Your parents worked without stopping because they had to, because their margin for error was thin, because rest was a luxury they couldn't afford. You might not be in the same situation anymore, but your body might still be acting like you are. So here's what I'd like for you to sit with. What if the discomfort you feel when you rest isn't a character flaw? What if it's just your body still running the survival programming it learned before you were old enough to choose anything for yourself? And what if honoring your roots doesn't have to mean carrying that programming forever? For me, it didn't start with sitting still, because sitting still felt like waiting for something to go wrong. Rest found me on a trail in the early morning when the desert's quiet and when there's nothing to produce. It found me in the weight room. It found me singing and playing the piano. It found me in a conversation with people that I trusted. And slowly, not all at once, my body started learning that it was allowed to stop, that nothing bad would happen, that I had already earned it. You see, that's not something that you think your way into. That's something that your body practices. And over time, con paciencia, and without those voices. So I want to leave you with this. Think about the messages you received about rest growing up. Not just the words, pero también the examples that you watched. And think about the messages you're receiving now in the spaces that you occupy. Where do those two worlds collide for you? And somewhere in that collision, is there a younger version of you who deserved more rest than they were given? You don't have to fix anything today. Just see it. Because you can honor the people who raised you and still decide that you deserve more than just survival. That's what it means to honor your roots without losing yourself. And if this is something that you're actively working through, I put together a free boundaries guide specifically for bicultural Latinos. It walks you through how to start using your voice without feeling like you're losing your people. It's yours for free when you subscribe to the Entre Mundos collective Substack. If this is something that you've experienced, know that you're not the only one. There are conversations many of us have lived but never had the space to talk about. So if someone came to mind while you were listening today, compártelo, send them this episode, porque sometimes hearing something said out loud can make a difference. And if you want to continue the conversation, you can find me on Substack, TikTok, and Instagram under Entre Mundos Collective. And of course, don't forget to tell all your vecinos about your favorite bicultural vecino who understands cultura y psychology. But until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of your people, and keep honoring your roots without losing yourself. Un abrazote fuerte. Hasta luego. Bye.